We're all set.
Thank you. Thank you for joining the City of Kingston's Common Council at our Finance Committee meeting. Today is October 13th, 2021. Before we begin tonight, we would like to go over a few guidelines to help us navigate the system as efficiently and respectfully as possible. We ask that members of the public and press remain muted and off camera for the length of the meeting. The moderator for tonight is City Clerk Elisa Tinti, and she reserves the right to mute anyone who unmutes themselves. Council members and city staff will control their own mute buttons. Good practice would be to mute yourself if you are not speaking to avoid background noise and feedback. If a council member or staff wishes to speak, they will raise their hands. I will call on members by stating their names clearly for our audio listeners. All of our meetings are recorded. Both video and written transcriptions will be made available to the public on the city's website. Although we have not, although we will not have public speaking tonight, you can sign up to speak at our monthly council meetings. Please email Elisa Tinti to sign up by noon the day of the meeting, or you can submit written comment for the record by the same deadline. Our next Common Council meeting will be on Tuesday, November 9th. The email address to send comments to is emtinti, E-M-T-I-N-T-I at kingston-ny.gov. You can also drop comments off at the drop box located outside the side door of City Hall. We also encourage you to reach out to committee chairs or your board's representative at any time. As I noted, Clerk Elisa Tinti is the moderator of today's meeting. She has the right to lock and pause the meeting to eject anyone who has behaved inappropriately. Lastly, at tonight's meeting, we have in attendance myself, Chair of Finance, Rennie Scott Childress, members Steve Shabbat, Tony Davis, Don Tollerman, and Michelle Hirsch is coming in. We also have city staff. Hi, Michelle. Including, just introducing folks, we've got Dan Baker, the city assessor, John Schulteis, the city engineer, John Toohey, the city's comptroller, Steve Knox, the head of building and safety, as well as Mayor Steve Noble. Thank you for your patience during these difficult times, and on behalf of the Common Council, I wish you and your family good health. I now call this meeting to order at 6:38 p.m. Welcome, everyone. Let's see what we've got on our agenda. The first couple of items are some budget transfers. So let's get those in order here. The first one is a budget transfer in Parks and Recreation. There is no financial impact on this. Nothing seemingly controversial. So Lindsay is not here. Steve Shabbat. Well, let's. Do we have a motion? Is that what you're doing, Steve? Okay, we have a motion to consider. Do we have a second? Michelle Hirsch. All right, thank you for that. Any discussion on this issue? Any discussion on this issue? This is not fillable. All right, hold on just a second, please. All right, as I said, there is no financial impact. If there's no discussion, I'll read the committee report, which says internal budget transfer of $14,000 to reconcile department accounts. And there is an attached spreadsheet that breaks down these costs. Without objection, then, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye. Don?
Great, thank you. Then we will go to another budget transfer. This is Parks and Rec, but it also relates to the CDBG funds. So this is a transfer of $636 for CDBG reimbursement for computer equipment at the Hodge Center, processing equipment at the Hodge Center. Excuse me a second. And again, this is zero financial impact. So Steve Shabbat, you're making a motion. We have a second. Michelle Hirsch. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote then. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Any opposed? No. All right, we'll move on to the third item now. And this is a transfer in building and safety. Steve Knox, are you here? You want to tell us what's going on with this one?
Sure. Basically, this is just a request to transfer funds from our 444 account. I'm sorry, our 472 account to 444 for some additional maintenance on our vehicles. We had to use most of our maintenance budget early in the year to get our oldest vehicle, the Durango, usable for most of this year until the new vehicle came in. I'm sure you're all aware of how difficult it is to get vehicles these days. So that process took a little while, but as I stated previously in a finance committee meeting, the superintendent of the garage told us that the Durango wasn't going to make it through the year, and it hasn't. It's now kind of dead, and we had to spend some money over the course of the year just to get it to this point and stuff. But fortunately, our new vehicle's here now, and we can kind of put that one out to pasture. In addition to the old vehicle using up most of what I budgeted, we just had all our cars in for maintenance, and 3 of the vehicles needed new tires to pass inspection. So that's what the transfer of funds here is for, with a little extra to get us through the end of the year.
All right, any questions for Steve Knox? Steve, if you'll hold on a second, because we got another issue we'd like to discuss with you. If there's no if there are no questions for Steve Knox, then I'll take a motion. Tony Davis, second. Steve Shabbat. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. With everybody's permission, I've asked Steve to hold on because I'd like him to give us a little information about the item under old business relating to the hotel fee. Steve, can you tell us what you got?
Sure. I just kind of wanted to weigh in a little bit on that. I know you guys are going to be discussing the fees for the application process. We are also in our fee schedule proposal and stuff, have fees listed for you guys to look at when budget approvals are up for inspections of those properties and stuff. Basically, what in our conversation with the mayor's office and stuff, what we are kind of recommending was that the fees be similar to what we're doing with rental properties throughout the city and commercial properties throughout the city. So our recommendations and stuff are per unit cost and stuff for most of the rental units, but also especially with the larger hotels or motels and stuff that have meeting rooms or Those assembly spaces are required to be inspected yearly. So there would be, an additional, there'd be an additional fee based on the square footage of those assembly spaces. That's what we're doing with our commercial property fire inspections. And that's kind of our recommendation going forward for hotels and SDRs.
Here we go. Tony Davis.
Steve, do you have what that inspection fee is right now?
I do. So for 1 to 3 rental units, we're proposing a flat fee of $50 per unit. I'm sorry, a base fee of $75 plus $50 per unit. For 4 to 9 rental units, flat fee of $150 plus $50 per unit. 10 to 20 rental units, a flat fee of $250 plus $45 per unit. And over 20 rental units, a flat fee of $400 plus $40 per unit. Now, this isn't going to affect a lot of the properties that we're talking about, but and we're really looking at mainly probably large hotel and motel that we have in the city that would also be affected by the assembly space inspection fee, which basically is up to 1,000 square feet, $125. Anything over 1,000 square feet would be $125 plus 2 cents a square foot.
Steve Shabbat.
Hi, thanks, Steve. I'm just wondering, did you use some other communities as a basis for these fees? I'm sure you did a little homework. I'm sure this was not just an arbitrary thing. And how do they seem to be working in other communities?
Well, these are the same fees that we're applying to our rental properties throughout the city now. So your larger apartment complexes, these fees apply. Even a rental 2 or 3 unit rental properties are using this same fee schedule now.
Okay. I mean, I would imagine this is pretty common practice all over the place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And in most cities that you look at, this would be common practice. And some of the smaller towns and stuff don't have the capacity to even conduct a lot of these inspections, so they may not, their fees may not be similar to what we're proposing.
Okay, thanks.
Michelle Hirsch.
Hi, Alderwoman Hirsch here. Nice to see you, Steve.
Sure.
So I just had a couple of questions. So I think it's a great idea to just match the rental property registration fees that we have already for inspections. But my concern is, so if we're going to be doing short-term rentals, right, a lot of possible just single units, is the $75 the fee plus just the 50 for the unit, does that cover, is that enough to send out an inspector? Does that really cover if we're just doing then 1 unit?
Right, that would still be sufficient. Yeah.
Okay. And are we looking to use any of the host compliance softwares that are out there, like the Granicus? I know that was sort of being floated around for a bit for compliance.
Well, we just got up, our software was just updated, Municity. So that's the software we'll be using for this foreseeable future. There are some other add-ons and stuff that we're looking at and stuff, so that
like that could tie into finding unregulated Airbnbs or tying into what the county is using to collect their bed tax.
Well, I think that information may be being shared and stuff, as part of this. So,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, we look at what, the counties, whatever information is available to us to try and find, properties that aren't registered or are kind of escaping our loop right now.
Okay. Okay. Good. Well, I think this is really important that we set this schedule and that, our short-term rentals in the city are inspected and that they're safe places for, our visitors and for the people that are here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, one other thing that I wanted to mention too is that in the language and in the language, we're required to inspect every year, which may be a lot and stuff. Most of the rental properties are inspected. They're required to be inspected every 3 years by New York State. At least every 3 years. So we do ours every 2 years, so that if we have any issues like the pandemic and stuff, we're still covered for a while if we we have to not do inspections for a short period of time. So I'm not sure if we want to follow suit with a every 2 years for the rental unit spaces, and the assembly spaces are required by New York State to be done yearly. So we would still be doing those yearly, but just something to I guess think about.
Right. I guess also then once you start doing all of these, right, and this is adding new inspections, like you can see how long it's taking to get them all done, and you can always
Correct.
come back and discuss it.
Right. And I mean, we have, well, basically these inspections will be done by the fire inspector, which, we fortunately we're getting him in full time now, and he's starting to come on board. So I anticipate by the end of the month that he'll be out there conducting fire inspections for all commercial properties. But it'll fall under his duties and stuff. So it will be kind of a one-man show doing most of these inspections.
Mhm.
Tony Davis?
Yes, Steve, in regard to this, and with the fees, is there something that we should be looking at or making sure we include in regard to violations? And I did some research on some other municipalities in regard to violation. Is that something we should be adding in here? And if so, what is your violation? What is that fee now for any violations?
Yeah, I certainly think it's definitely something that should be added in. That would give us a little bit more teeth to enforce the requirements. In the past, I think our office has put the responsibility on our staff to go out and make sure people are complying with the law. I think it's kind of time for us to kind of reverse that a little bit and put some of the responsibility on the property owners to make sure that they have their licenses, and if they don't, then yeah, I think a penalty is appropriate in that case.
Any other questions for Steve?
I think I'm just looking up really quick. I think there's something in the code about non-compliance and registration fees. So
This is Don. I have a question.
Yes, Don Collerman.
Thank you. Steve, what is the, how does this apply to Airbnbs?
Well, Airbnbs are included in the legislation, so they would be required to have a license and be inspected.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to clarify.
yeah, Don, we updated the code around hotels and short-term rentals in laws and rules.
That's right. That's right. Thanks, Michelle.
Right.
Yep.
Tony, I'm sorry, I don't think I answered the second part of your question, and I don't think we don't currently have a penalty for not filing an application for, renewal of your license.
Any other questions for Steve Knox? All right. Steve, do you have this written up already?
I do have it written up, yes. I can
Is it in the form of a committee report, or you just have it written down?
No, it's in it's in the proposed fee schedule. That's about the only place that it's written up right now, but I can provide whatever information's necessary.
Well, I'm just wondering if anybody wants to make a motion to adopt these rates tonight. We would need to put it into a committee report.
Rennie, there
Yes.
is something in the code about enforcement with the applications and a $200 fee.
So a $200 fee for failure to fill out the.
Yeah, I'm just getting back to it.
But Michelle, the way that's listed and written, it's listed as a fine.
Right.
And we can't fine anyone, only a judge can. That's why we do
Okay.
a fee schedule.
All right, so we might have to update this also then.
Okay, thank you for that.
So you need a motion you want a motion to adopt this fee schedule the same?
Yeah, if we feel like we're ready to go with this tonight, we can get a motion in a second and then discuss and then move it on to the common council, or we could get we could get the actual visual of the figures and then do it at next month's meeting.
Well, I'm in favor of us adopting it. I mean, it's our fee schedule that exists already, the 2021 fee schedule that pertains to the rental property inspection fees, multiple dwelling apartment buildings. It's on our 2021.
Right, it's called, I mean, at least on the proposed fee schedule that you guys will eventually get, it's called out in a separate area for hotels and SDRs.
Right. But it's the amounts are the same, right? Like that's
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to adopt the rates that Steve has mentioned. Tony Davis, are you seconding? Seconding, okay, good. Michelle Hirsch made
yeah,
the
I mean, this has
motion.
been on as old business for a long time, so.
Yeah, Tony Davis is seconded. All right, is there any discussion?
I think Don has his hand up.
Don?
I think
Yeah,
that's,
that was from before. No, no discussion here. I'm ready to vote.
all right, can you put your hand down then, Don? Steve, would you refresh me the first, what was the first lowest fee was for how many units?
1 to 3 units,
And then 4 to 10 or 4 to 9?
4 to 9. I think it was 10 to 19 and then 20 plus. Am I correct, Steve?
Yeah, 10 to 20 and then over 20.
Yes.
10 to 20 and over 20. Yeah.
Okay, so the committee report will read establish and this is annual, right?
That's the way that's the way it's currently written.
Okay, good. So then the committee report will read, establish the following rates for annual hotel fees. 1 to 3 units, $75 base, $50 per unit. 4 to 9 units, $150 base, $50 per unit. 10 to 20 units, $250 base, $45 per unit. More than 20 units, $400 base and $40 per unit.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, the only other thing was the assembly spaces, and then they're gonna be treated the same as any commercial property fire inspection. So we just want to refer to commercial
You mean like
property
an
fire.
assembly space in like a hotel, you mean like a ballroom or?
Correct.
Okay.
So assembly spaces will be treated as, what's the language there?
Same as commercial property fire inspections.
This is Don. Steve, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Do you have any idea how much revenue this would raise annually?
I do not at this time. I think we're just getting our fire program kind of rolling. So, I mean, I'll have a better idea, as we get into this a little bit. I think we projected in our budget for our income from commercial property inspections to be about 120,000.
Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
Steve, just one other part before we finish this up and this writing up. And at one point you said every 2 years, and I wasn't sure what that was in regard to. Was that in regard to the former inspection? So are you proposing to do this every 2 years?
Right. So when I commented before, I was talking about our rental property inspections. We do every 2 years. And I thought we probably just, if we wanted to keep in line with what we're doing with rental property inspections, it would be done every 2 years with the exception of assembly spaces. But I think we would have to change the language in the legislation, because legislation requires an inspection at renewal, so annually.
All right.
All right, is there any other discussion? If there's no further discussion, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So I just wanted to make clarify on this. This is not going to be every 2 years. This is right now, the way it's reading is every annually, every year.
Yes. Establish the following rates for annual hotel fees. Stoney, are you voting in favor?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone opposed?
At this time, I'm voting yes, but I'm going to think about this and do some more research. So, and
Sure.
possible I could be changing.
Okay. All right. Well, Steve Knox, I think that's all we've got for you, unless you've got some secret information on other things in the agenda.
I think that's all I got tonight.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thanks for
Have a good
being.
night.
Night, thank you.
Thank you all for being flexible on the agenda. Our next item.
Rennie,
The next item, yes.
I'm sorry. Do we want John to go or do we want, right?
Oh, you're right. I keep forgetting that. Well, we've actually the next item, we got Dan Baker here, so let's let
And the mayor.
well, yeah, well, we've got a lot of folks here who are visiting. So, John, I'm sorry, I forgot. Usually we want to let you go first. Can you give us the budget update real quick? Then we'll move on to Dan Baker.
Sure, Rennie.
There you go.
So everyone has the financial reports. I emailed them out earlier today. Pretty much everything is still on track, as I've previously reported. The one piece of good news that I have to report is on the sales tax. Our largest, as most of you know, as all of you know, the sales tax are received over a number of installments during the course of the year. The first payment that we received for August is typically the largest payment of the year. And, a lot hinges on that payment. And we received a notification that payment last year was up significantly over the prior year. Last year, that payment was almost 1.7 million. It was only 1.3 million in 2019. So we wanted to see what that payment looked like this year to see if we're still on track with 2020's numbers. And we are. The sales tax handout that I sent out earlier, you'll see that payment was 1,735,000. So it's actually up over the 2020 number by $56,000. So that's great news for us. It is only up 3% over the prior year, but it's still significantly up over the 2019 number. That puts our sales tax at 2.47 million over the 2020 numbers at this point, with the year-to-date positive variance of over 25.5%. So that is the big piece of information. Everything else is on track. We'll go over later. You have the audit report that our auditors just finished up, and those numbers are consistent with our internally reported numbers. I'll have an updated fund balance number for you. It's on the financial update number, but it's very similar to the numbers I reported internally. There's really not a lot of update in terms of finances. We're still working on selling the property down on Broadway, the visitor center. That hasn't occurred yet. So that's we're waiting on that revenue. Hopefully that'll happen before the end of the year. We did receive some FEMA money, thanks to Ruth Ann and Kristen. That was previously reported to the council. So that was a boon into the coffers, because that was not budgeted for 2021. Most other items are relatively on track. So does anybody have any questions?
Any questions for John there?
No news is good news. Yeah.
Sorry, this is Don. Just
Hey, Don.
hey, John. Just that press. There was some reports about how well we're doing with the fiscal, on the meter compared to other cities.
Yes.
Just want to give you kudos on that. That was really great to see.
Thank you, Don. Thank you. Yeah, and it's helped. I mean, I appreciate the council approving the payment of debt. We paid off the additional $1.7 million of debt this year. That helps our debt portfolio a lot. It helps our short-term and long-term financial planning. So, I think in partnership with the council and the mayor's office, we're making some good fiscal strides to, keep the budget in check and keep our finances in check. We've made good use of fund balance to keep tax increases at a minimal in this case, and not at all in a number of years. So, we're going to continue to try to go down that path. And, as I come up with opportunities, I'll certainly bring them to you.
Thanks. Hey, John, just taking off from what you just said, interest rates, the word is they're on the rise, and it may be more expensive to borrow money. Does that change our philosophy in anything when it comes to, do we think if we need to borrow money, if rates are going to be going up, is there anything we can do in advance to cushion ourselves on that?
I mean, the meter hasn't changed a lot. I mean, the one thing I can tell you we're looking to do is we have some short-term debt outstanding that we will be looking to roll into long-term. And we've been able to keep it in the short term to take advantage of almost non-existent interest rates. I mean, it's almost free money at this point, the money that we're borrowing on a short-term basis. I would like to get that into long-term in our next renewal, so we can capture those permanent long-term savings on the lower interest rates. So, you know, that's the one move that we can make now. I mean, you know,
Yeah, it sounds like a smart strategy.
yeah. I mean, that's the immediate move. Other than that, you know, the short-term rates are still, you know, historically low. But yeah, I mean, we're looking at, you know, at some point in the middle of next year doing a long-term and basically just locking up the interest rate on everything that's outstanding, or nearly everything that's outstanding.
Great. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Michelle, for reminding me about the order we're supposed to follow. Appreciate it. Let's see. So Dan Baker, got two items with us tonight. The first one is the adjustments. And I'm wondering, is it okay if we put those off till November when we're doing the budget?
Yeah, the communication is just a placeholder until you pass the budget.
Okay, great. So Elissa, will you be sure to put that item under old business for our November agenda?
Sure.
Thank you very much there. And then Dan Baker, you sent out an item 2. This is something that we have already discussed previously. And if I understand correctly, this is the final number. It's the outcome of the discussion that you apprised us of in an earlier executive session, yes?
Correct. So if you see fit to just read the report and vote on it, that's what I'll do.
All right, has everybody seen the report, the committee report? Let me read that then, just to make sure. So this is authorization of settlement for 19 to 21 Main Street LLC versus City of Kingston, SBL number 48.331-4-1421 Main Street. The roll years are 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. The AV reduced is going to be from 600,000 for 2018, 660,000 for the other 3 years. Then the AV reduced to 525,000 for 2018 and 550,000 for 2019 through 21. So the estimated financial impact will be $4,308.40. Do we have a motion to consider this? Steve Shabbat. Second by Michelle Hirsch. Any discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
I'm sorry, Randy. I'm a little slow. I do have a question for discussion.
Don, wait. We may have to go into executive session for it.
Oh, okay. So it's really not a big, not significant. So I'll retract that.
Well, maybe you can reach out to Dan later. Okay, Thank you then. In that case, no discussion. I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
No, anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Great. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you so much.
And now we're moving to John Schulteis, looking at our city sewers. John, what do you got for us?
Good evening. How are you?
Good. How are you tonight?
Good. So in the, working with DPW, we've identified some gravity sewers in the Midtown area that are high maintenance due to problems in the pipe slope, problems in the structure of the pipes that are old and failing and require frequent maintenance. And we've been meaning to get to some of these for quite a while. So now's the time, and funding has been identified through the HUD CDBG, which I believe this, this has been previously before you, but what we're here for tonight is at the recommendation of John Toohey to get authorization for spending in the first instance. This is expected to be 100% paid through those HUD CDBG funds. And we're looking at projects on 3 streets in Midtown, which are Prospect, Van Duzen, and Sterling Streets. So if this is approved tonight, we'll be working on the design here in the fall and into the winter, and put the projects out for bid early in the spring for construction early next year.
Great. So the crucial thing here is that the estimated financial impact is 0 because of the CDBG funds. Great. Thank you for that. Questions? Steve Shabbat.
Hi, John. Now, are these the pipes we've discussed before? It seems like we discussed these and you kind of indicated it was only a matter of time before we would have to do something. These are the same ones, right?
Yes, we've done enough investigation on these sewers using the city's sewer camera, and the maintenance history of the DPW staff indicates that there are, problems that require replacement. And the age of these sewers is minimum 50 years, and some are much older. So, we believe now's the time, and these are some of the top priorities for the city.
Okay, so yeah, we knew this was coming at some point.
Good. I'm glad to see it going. Any other questions for John Schultheis? Another one, Steve Shabbat?
I'm making a motion.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask John, how come all your projects can't be 0 impact? All right. Yes, that was a joke. So we got a motion from Steve Shabbat. Do we have a second? Michelle Hirsch? Any discussion? Very happy to see this getting underway. Any discussion?
I was just going to say the same thing. I know that those streets are really in poor condition, and the sewers really need to be done. And so it's good to get that going.
Yes. Tony Davis?
Yes, I was going to echo the same thing. And I think we need to get this done so that, some of those roads over there can be prioritized to get some new paving. So I know that's been held up because, we want to, go underneath and look at some of these sewers. And so that's holding up. So I'm hoping this gets going so that some well-deserved paving over in that ward, over in that area, can get some new street paving. So, yes.
Great. All right. If there's no more discussion, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Don?
Aye.
All right. Great. Anyone opposed? Okay. Thank you, John Schultheis. We appreciate all the engineering you do for us. You keep us in good shape.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right. Next item on the agenda is Fair Street. An administrative action here. Mayor Noble is present to give us a sense of what this is about. Hi, Mayor Noble.
Hi, how's everybody going tonight? Thanks so much for the opportunity to talk to you all about this tonight. This is related to our redevelopment efforts of 21 North Front Street. As you're aware, that process took a big step forward with the decision that the Kingston Local Development Corporation made earlier this summer related to the transfer of the property to the Kingstonian LLC. As they prepare the documents with the city to be able to make that transfer complete, there's the opportunity for us to be able to kind of move the project further forward, which would involve us having a kind of multiple options, as I mentioned here on the committee report. One is that we will be closing the street through traffic and what would be considered a partial abandonment. That's really kind of the area near the top of the hill where the pedestrian park and promenade will be built. In order to do that, I would like the consent of the Common Council. As the City of Kingston is a neighboring property owner per our city code, in order to close the street, you need the surrounding property owners to all agree. And so we are the neighboring property owner at North Front Street to be able to make this, closure happen. So that's step one. And the other two are providing easements over the City of Kingston right of way. One adjacent to Fair Street Extension directly, which is the area where we would be building this new public park along the edge of the roadway and areas where the highway boundary overlaps the redevelopment efforts of our new parking garage, as well as the right of way for along Schwenk Drive for the building of the pedestrian walkway that will be ADA accessible, that will go across from the end of the pedestrian park over Schwenk Drive and then down into the city's right of way adjacent to Kingston Plaza. And so in total, there would be 2 city easements. The city would not be giving up any of that property. That property will still all remain municipal property, but we'll be, we would be authoring easements to the Kingstonian LLC. And so those are the 2 easements where I'm requesting authorization to be able to sign those easements once they're drafted by the surveyors. And then again, getting the council's support for as a adjoining property owner to close Fair Street Extension through traffic. Portion of the street will still be utilized to be able to get people in and out of the public parking garage. But again, the top of the hill where the park will be, there will not be through traffic permitted anymore. And so we'll have to abandon that section for the park. And so that's my request tonight. And there's a relatively wordy committee report, so I do apologize for that, but I do want to just kind of make sure that we kind of get everything in here that we'll need over the next month or 2.
Great, thank you. Any questions for the mayor? Any questions? All right. I will read the committee report and then entertain a motion to discuss. It says in full, the Common Council provides written consent for the partial abandonment as a neighboring property owner of Fair Street Extension pursuant to statute C-141. The Common Council authorized the conveyance of an easement to the Kingstonian Development LLC for construction location of those portions of the development project that fall within the boundaries of Fair Street Extension, provided that the developer agree to be responsible for all maintenance of Fair Street Extension, and that the council authorized the conveyance of an easement to Kingstonian Development LLC to allow for an ADA compliant pedestrian bridge, access bridge, over Schwenk Drive, and the location of structural support for the pedestrian bridge and elevator tower adjacent to Schwenk Drive as necessary, and authorize the mayor to sign all documents related to the 2 easements and partial abandonment as mentioned previously. Do I have a motion to consider? Tony Davis. Second, Michelle Hirsch. Any discussion? Tony Davis.
Tony Davis here. And so just wanted to say that we knew that this was, always knew that this was going to be part of this whole resolution that's been going on for this project and this trying to get this project moving forward for a while. And so, I mean, some of the net gains that we're going to get here, of course, is the property tax the sales tax, and the Kingstonian is agreed to maintain and provide the maintenance for this. So we won't have our city employees provide the maintenance for it. So, and I think it's a good project. I always thought it was a good project. And again, I just think this is just part of another administrative step that this needs to go forward. So I'm going to be, of course, in favor of this.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Don Tollerman?
Yes.
Yes. Anyone against? All right. Unanimously passes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you all. Have a good rest of the night.
You too. The next item is a budget transfer in the clerk's office. Need some bells going off.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've had some issues with our security system where alarms were going off. And of course, we had the company that we contract with out several times. And it ends up that the the control panel and all of the panic buttons are really just too old at this point and they need to be replaced. So I did speak to the mayor about it, and we both felt that it was not something that could wait for next year's budget because it is the security system for City Hall. So that is the fee to replace and upgrade the security system.
And it'll have no financial impact, right?
Correct.
Okay, great. Any questions for Elissa? All right. In that case, I got a motion from Steve Shabbat, second from Tony Davis. All right. The committee report reads, requesting a transfer of $6,950 to cover the expense of replacing the panic buttons and control panel at City Hall from A1.190.5439 EAP, $6,500, A1.1410.5821 hospital and medical, $450, to A1.1670.14.5473 central printing equipment, $4,950, A1.1620.14.5443 building maintenance, $2,000, estimated financial impact, $0. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. The last item on our regular agenda, there's one more item on the old business, but the last item on our current agenda is John Tui's request that we accept the auditor's report. Does anybody have any questions about this for John? This is pretty much rote action we take every year. Any questions for John? All right. Oops, sorry, wrong item there. So the committee report from the comptroller reads, request the Common Council to accept RBT CPA's independent auditor's report for the year ended December 31, 2020. Do we have a motion? Steve Shabbat, second by Tony Davis. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous in favor. All right, thank you for that. Now, the last thing on the agenda is the ATV fee schedule. We don't have any actual numbers here. I believe that the police chief had suggested $3,000 for the return of impounded vehicles. but we don't have an actual number. I'm wondering, would somebody volunteer to see what Albany did recently and to look at a couple of other municipalities to see where this falls? Michelle? Are you volunteering or do you already have?
Yeah, you
anything?
want me to look right now, or is that where you're for now?
Yeah,
Or-
if I mean, if
okay.
you can find it that quick, that'd be great. Otherwise, we can, do this next month.
Okay.
Maybe Steve Shabbat, could you give, Tony Davis?
I looked into, I believe it is, if I thought it right, I have some notes here. It's $3,000 not cleaned within 60 days can be sold or destroyed by the city. And that it's been a while, so it could possibly be. But I thought these numbers, stuff that all the women at large, Andrea and Shout had provided us with some things here with some figures in it, I thought. And I could be incorrect from underneath old business here.
Right, they used to have a $650 fine in Albany, and they added a $2,350 redemption fee to bring the total up to $3,000.
Mhm.
If it's not cleaned within 30, I believe it was 60 days.
60, yeah.
Yep, then the city can either sell it or destroy it by the
Michelle,
city.
Can you copy and paste that, email it to us real quick?
Sure.
I believe what we have here in front of me is penalties for offensives. First offense is not to exceed $650 or imprisonment not to exceed. So some other figures here. I didn't know what other figures we were looking for when I was doing some homework. So I do remember that I looked up Albany's and it said $3,000, but I wasn't sure exactly what else needed to be in this.
And I'm afraid I forgot, did we already adopt the basic language here? That would have been up to laws and rules, right? So we're just looking at the possible fee.
I believe that's what we do as finance, the fees. Laws and rules are supposed to come up with the language.
Right.
That somehow it then came to us and for what the fee was going to be. As stated, and as all the women Hirsch just confirmed, and that Albany has the $3,000.
So I just emailed you all of a copy of the Albany legislation. And do you remember what month we passed the ATV out of laws and rules? Or I'm not on laws and rules, so I don't.
Laws and rules, it looks like it might have been passed out, resolution 139 2021. And let me see if there's a date here. Doesn't have a date, sorry. Just has 2021. Let's see here. Resolution Common Council of New York, the use of all terrain vehicles, public and city-owned properties, referring to as Finance Audit Committee for consideration of related fees on the fee schedule. But it doesn't have a, I don't see the date here, I apologize. There's no date there. Maybe Lisa might have a date
Yeah,
for it.
it wasn't that long ago. So.
I'm sorry, Tony, I don't have a date.
All right.
think I found it. So it looks like it got adopted in July.
That's why I wanted to say sometime in July, but I don't have the exact date.
Well, we should go off the one that was then voted on by the full council in case there is changes to what's in the laws and rules. Yes? Packet.
Yeah. Yeah, because the one in our regular code is not the updated one. Then, so what, I could try to reconcile these two things and then we would vote on it next month, or is that okay with folks, or do you want to keep pursuing this right now?
Dan's not here?
No,
Okay.
we don't have Corp Counsel with us tonight.
So what needs to be more discussed? I'm not sure.
Well, it's just not clear where in the law it would go, what the specific language would be.
Okay.
I don't know if we're just like, putting figures in,
Maybe
putting
not.
in these two numbers, or if we have to, there's specific language in the Albany law.
Okay.
So I don't know if we have to, bring that in.
I mean, I have no problem this as long as it, we can try to finalize this next month.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I would get in touch with Corporation Counsel and get this, put into the actual language it needs to be in. So we'd have it for a clear committee report.
Okay. So we're just tabling this. That's what we're doing.
Yes.
Or we're just keeping it on as old business. Is that what we said?
Keep it on as old business, right? And I will then pursue this beginning tomorrow with Corporation Counsel to get the final language. Is that all right with folks? Okay. All right. If that's the case, then I don't see anything else on our agenda. And so we can stand adjourned. 7:37 here on the 13th. Unless
you. Good
John
night.
wants to scare us with something.
I'm all set.
All right. Okay. Thank you, John.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Alyssa.